There is nothing more intoxicating than the meld of emotions and sensations that is Friday night. Friday night is the sound of that crowd, the pride of that community, the way that that grass smells. I've never felt in my adult life the way that I felt on Friday nights. That's what those kids are playing for. They're playing for that emotion. They're playing for that brotherhood and all of that sensory input that comes from Friday night.
It is Thursday, August 15th, 2024. Welcome back for the first fall edition of Friday Night Addiction podcast. We're off the month of July. A lot of vacations, a lot of stuff happening. Summer, enjoying time with the family. I hope you got a chance to do that as well. Especially coaches out there got a chance to take some time and enjoy the summer and vacations and family time because we're in it now. If you're like us and most states in this here union have started high school football. So and if you're not starting, then you started this week. So good luck to all of you, all the states out there, everybody. I don't care where you are, I don't care what states. And we're going to talk about, kind of the maybe some preseason rankings today, highlight some of the national spotlight games, and talk about, maybe the bigger picture of high school football. But wherever you are, whether it's Iowa, Arkansas, state of Washington, Illinois, wherever you are, and you're starting the football season, it's the greatest time of the year because, as a cliche as this sounds, the grass smells different. If you walk outside in the morning in August, the grass smells different. And it's because it's blood, sweat, and tears are about to hit it. And if you've been through it, you know what it smells like. I don't have to explain it to you. Most of you out there know exactly when I was a coach, you know what I'm saying. As players, you know what I'm saying. So, we're going to talk about beginning of the season and what that looks like around the country in a big perspective. And I want to start, Jerry. I want to do the preseason rankings of the top 25, which I did not look at. I asked you to research that and look at it because I want to talk through it. Not that we're not going to spend a great deal of time on it, but I just kind of want you to think from a national perspective what people are thinking out there.
All right, so the top 25, courtesy of Max Preps, goes like this. At number, so we're going from 25 to 1. At 25, it is Folsom High School in California. 24 is Orange Lutheran in California. 23 is Berkeley Prep. That is out of Tampa in Florida. Number 22, Central High School in Phoenix City. That's in Alabama. 21 is Buford. That is in Georgia. Number 20 is American Heritage in Plantation, Florida. 19 is Bergen Catholic out of New Jersey. Number 18, Corner Canyon out of Draper. That is in Utah. Another California school at 17, Sierra Canyon. 16, a school we're familiar with here in PA, and that is St. Joe's Prep out of Philly. Number 15 is Central High out of Miami in Florida. Number 14, St. Francis Academy in Baltimore, Maryland. Number 13, Cocoa High School in Florida. I hope I'm pronouncing this one right. Number 12 is Carrollton. Carrollton,
Georgia.
Yeah, in Georgia. Number 11, St. Thomas Aquinas, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Now we're in the top 10. North Shore in Houston, Texas. Number 9, Chaminade, Madonna. Actually, I pronounced Madonna. Wow.
Out of Miami.
Okay.
Fort Lauderdale.
Number 8, Centennial out of California. Number 7, Duncanville. That's in Texas. Milton High School in Georgia is at 6. Number 5, DeSoto High School in Texas. Number 4 is St. John Bosco in Bellflower, California. Number 3 is IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. Number 2, Bishop Gorman out of Las Vegas, Nevada. And number 1, Mater Dei out of Santa Ana. That is your top 25 coming into the year for high school football.
So I heard California, Florida, Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Pennsylvania,
New Jersey,
New Jersey,
Utah,
Arizona.
No.
You say Arizona?
No Arizona schools.
Okay.
No Virginia schools.
No Virginia, no Ohio.
No Ohio, which is
But
stunning.
there was a DMV school though. There was the
St.
school
Francis.
Yeah, St. Francis, a big
Yeah.
one out of Baltimore DMV area.
And that is it.
Wow.
No Ohio schools. No Illinois schools. Which is something we've talked about here. Top 10 football states.
No Cass Tech out of Michigan.
No.
Okay. No St. Ed, no Lakewood St. Ed's
Nope.
out of Ohio. No Findlay High School out of Ohio. No Massillon out of Ohio. Who Massillon went on a run last year, and from what I understand, they have most of that team returning. Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, we'll just continue on with that.
I am curious to see the top 25 at the end of the year, though. But preseason, that's pretty incredible what we're seeing there.
I think usually slightly more diverse. But hey, I'll let it be. I'm not surprised at most of those teams. I think I'm surprised that St. Thomas Aquinas was outside the top 10.
Yeah, me too.
They're usually closer to that 5-1 range. Chaminade Madonna, I'm actually surprised is up there that high. They were loaded last year. They had 5-star receiver in Jeremiah Smith. Everything that was probably going to start at Ohio State this year as a freshman, which almost never happens. But they were loaded last year, so I'm actually surprised that they made it back. Carrollton, Georgia, I thought would be a little higher. They return what is, I think, number 1 or number 2 ranked quarterback in the country, and Julian Lewis, is on that team. I thought they might be a little higher. Buford, I'm not surprised. They had number 1 quarterback in the country last year in Dylan Raiola, who went to Nebraska, and he left, and then some other guys. So, a couple of those lists, I'm surprised they're as high as they are, and some I'm surprised aren't up there. Again, I'm a little surprised that Cleveland Glenville's not on there. Lakewood St. Ed's, those 2 teams from Ohio. Findlay High School could probably get some consideration. I know that's probably one that most people wouldn't know about, but they have 5-star quarterback Ryan Montgomery, who is going to where did he commit to? Georgia. He committed to Georgia, right down the street from Ohio State. His brother actually is an offensive lineman at Ohio State, but he committed to Georgia, and that team is going to be really good this year. So little surprise, but hey, that's how national rankings go, right? Like they, we kind of leave out some people. So within that tone, I want to talk about maybe some state and some regions. Again, as I open the show with, like, I don't care where you're playing high school football. We talking about top 25 and kind of showcasing what people think are going to be, the highlighted teams. Obviously, you see Texas, they have 3 or 4 teams. You saw California, 4 or 5 teams, Florida, 6 or 7 teams, things like that. Georgia, 2 or 3 teams, within those top 25s. But as I always say, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I think there's brands of football, there's certain kinds of football, depending on what you like, what does it for you. I was thinking about this the other day. I was watching a 11-on-11 interaction. They call them interactions now, where you in the summer and you got everybody's holding pads, and it's not full go, and teams are and it was in Iowa, of all places. So I'm watching this take place in Iowa, and watching these 2 teams. And on one hand, I'm thinking like, man, there's just not a lot of talent on these teams. And then on the other hand, but I'm just watching the linemen and I'm watching these guys and they run at full speed, and just how much these kids care about high school football and care about just being on the team. And they were putting their 2s and 3s in, and don't ask me how I got this film. If you know, Jerry knows me, and I get film from pretty much every pocket of this country from somebody. I got a friend somewhere, and I get film. But so I'm watching this Iowa, and they put in like the third team, and normally I'm clicking off by them, but I kept watching, and I'm watching these kids hold bags, and I'm watching them get after it, and I'm thinking like, this team would, this team, this state would never make, a top 25 team, or is not a place that people would say they play great high school football. But I'm watching enthusiasm, the spirit of these kids, holding bags and going through interactions, and they're in like the behind the, it's not behind the scenes, but in the shadow of the film is like cornfields and shit, and it's like nobody cares, There's like two lights on. It's kind of the end. It's not the end of the day. It wasn't dark yet, but it was kind of getting sun's going down. And I'm thinking that's what high school football is. And if you're experiencing that right now, and everybody around the country really is, if you're experiencing that right now, then that's the beauty, right? We're talking about top 25s and highlighted the recruits and teams and things like that. But I don't care where you are, man. If you're experiencing the joy, the smell of the grass, the joy of high school camaraderie, and the promise that it brings, right? Like, I talk to people all the time about the promise that football brings. And it doesn't promise a lot, but it does promise some core things if you stick with it, right? It promises that you will find out a lot about yourself. You will find out a lot about your teammates. You will find out that you're capable of probably greater things than you ever thought you were before. If you can stick it out. It teaches discipline, it teaches respect, it teaches accountability, it teaches all those sorts of things that are really, really difficult to get in the real world, that something like the sport of football brings out. And I found myself watching that Iowa 11-11 interaction, thinking those kids will never be on ESPN, most of them will never be recruits, but they're still going to get all that other stuff that I just talked about from playing the game of football like all the other kids do. And that is the beauty of Friday Night Lights and Friday Night Addiction. So I just wanted to say that. Like, I wanted to open up with the top 25, but I also want to just say in the bigger picture of wherever you're playing, right? I don't care where it is. I don't care if it's Kentucky. I don't care if it's, Montana. I don't care. Wherever you're playing, if you're lacing them up, if you're 14 through 18 right now, and you're a coach and at the high school level, and you're lacing them up, Sunday, and you get a chance to go out in the field, there's beauty in it.
Yeah, and it's definitely a feeling I cherish quite a bit, and something that I'm kind of going through right now because, full disclosure, I've been out of coaching for the last 5 years, and kind of got back into it. Right now, coaching over at my church for my church's youth football team, and I gotta be honest with you, I forgot how alive I felt being back on the sidelines, leading drills, working with kids, seeing them grow right before your very eyes. There's just something about it that you cannot put your finger on it per se, but it is that feeling of being alive. It feels like you're being a part of something bigger than yourself, and that is what I cherish probably the most about this time of the year. Is you got a season coming up, you're very optimistic about how the year is going to be, and it's one of those things that it's really hard to describe. It's one of those things you got to live it in order to fully grasp what we're talking about here.
So, anyway, I want to touch on that, and I want to share. I was looking at ESPN's high school kickoff schedule, which I always love to watch every year. I record them, watch them when I can. And I wanted to look at some of the matchups and some of the athletes playing. And starting on August 16th, Carrollton, Georgia versus Wilbur, Georgia Academy. It's the big one again. We're talking about Julian Lewis, number 2 ranked quarterback in the country. He's a Carrollton QB, but he's on that. And Carrollton has a bunch of other dudes. Alabama commit, USC commits. Wilbur Academy also has some guys, man, Jerome Bettis' son, who's a wide receiver, is on that team.
Jeez.
So is Rodney Harrison. Rodney Harrison's son, R.J. Harrison, who's going to Duke. And Amari Irvin, who's also his dad was Cedric Irvin. He's on that team. So that's Friday, August 16th. Thursday, August 21st, Grayson, Georgia versus Thompson, Alabama. Don't know a lot about either of those, but both have some high level recruits. A couple Georgia Tech guys, Boston College guys on the Grayson team, and on the Thompson team, a couple Auburn commits and Alabama commits. Friday, August 23rd, Milton, Georgia versus American Heritage. If you follow this, right, this is. I'm making fun of the rankings as Jerry sang them, but if you're paying attention here, there's a correlation between the teams playing on ESPN and the top 25.
Yes.
Right. So just again, if you're paying attention, right. So there's Milton, Georgia versus American Heritage, right? Friday, August 23rd, and again, not arguing whether they deserve that or not. Some Georgia commits, some Florida State commits, some Texas commits on both teams. They're both loaded with a lot of talent. American Heritage is always loaded with a lot of talent. And then Saturday, August 24th, and this will be a great one. This is one I'll definitely be recording and watching. Bishop Gorman, Nevada versus St. Thomas Aquinas.
That's gonna be awesome.
And I wish the game was in Nevada. It's in Florida, but that's whole different reasons. But that's got top 20 recruits all over the place. LSU, Alabama, Oregon. They're in Tennessee. They're going Miami. They're going everywhere. On the Bishop Gorman team, and the same thing for St. Thomas Aquinas. It says St. Thomas Aquinas has 7 players already committed to Division I programs and another 4 or 5 fielding offers. Not like you don't know that, but they have it. That'll be a great game. St. John Bosco. Great program out in California. Is playing Chaminade Madonna. I talked about Chaminade Madonna. After Jerry did the rankings, they had a lot of guys last year. I'm surprised that they're still up that high, but they're playing on ESPN. So maybe they're playing on ESPN because they got a lot of guys, or maybe they got a lot of guys because they're playing on ESPN. I guess it's just how you look at it.
Yeah, that's how you look at it. I know.
Anyway, and then Saturday, August 25th, you got Rayburn Gap Nakochi School.
That sounds right.
Nakochi School. I can't pronounce that in Georgia. At Baylor School, Tennessee. Don't know much about the Baylor School or the Georgia team. They got a bunch of dudes. So, and again, if you're going to be playing on this national televised game, you're going to have some dudes.
Can I just point out something real quick though? All the Florida schools are at home. Did you notice that?
I did notice that. Well, that's where I was going to go, Jerry, because it's every year. That's why I said I wish they were playing in Nevada, because in the years of watching this this kickoff classic, I only remember one time where Gorman played in Nevada, and it's not because I think Nevada's not hot, because it is, but I'm just going to tell you, and anybody who's traveled to Las Vegas and traveled to Florida in the summer knows that there's a difference, right? There's Arizona, Vegas heat, Nevada heat, and there's Florida heat. One comes with humidity, one doesn't.
Yeah, and I was down in South Florida, God, was it like 5 weeks ago, and in Key West, and I learned a phrase that I hadn't heard in a while, and that was called swamp ass, and that's real. that's when you sweat out of places you didn't know you had places.
Yep.
And that is a huge advantage when you're able to practice and condition in that versus what you're able to do in Nevada. Like, Nevada's just hot, but you can still breathe. That when you're down in South Florida, you can't breathe. The sun is beating down on you. You are tired. As I got tired walking a block, and I just thought, oh my God! And there's guys doing 110 sprints right now in this weather. It's insane how much of an advantage it is. And I think it would be a much more even game if St. Thomas went over to Bishop Gorman. That would be a lot more fun matchup there, I think.
Well, I named like 6-8 games, And I'm just going to tell you, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit just because it always bothers me every year. And that's why I'm really excited about the college football playoff system this year. The first game is in College Park, Georgia, which is Atlanta. It's going to be hot. Second game, it's going to be hot anywhere at this time of year, but
Yeah.
I'll get to my point though.
Mm-hmm.
The second game is in Alabaster, Alabama. Going to be hot. The third game is going to be in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We just talked about that. Fourth game is going to be in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Fourth game is going to be in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Fifth game is going to be in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is also really hot, and it's going to be humid. My issue is this, and I always have this issue every year. I lived in Florida for 3 years. I coach high school football in Florida. And don't get me wrong, it's hot down there to the Florida kids too. Like, don't think that Florida kids aren't hot or Georgia kids aren't hot. It is hot to them as well, and the coaches. The difference is that when you live in it, you learn how to deal with it differently. And you get, it's not that you can become immune to it, but you get used to it, and you learn different ways to deal with it. But coming from the north or coming from the west, those are completely different climate cultures. And being thrown into a situation where you got to go play a game in an environment that you're not used to living in, practicing in, cohabitating in, and then being asked to go compete, I have a problem with. And I always have. And again, I'm not saying you stop the matchups. I'm not saying that at all. I just like to see more of a rotating schedule. Right? I would like to see Florida teams go have to deal with Nevada Heat or Southern teams come and deal with the Midwest heat and different types of humidity or lack thereof, a little cooler sometimes in the summer than it is down there, and that might give them advantage, it might not. I would just like to see a more rotating schedule because I'm telling you, like, there is no way to prepare to play a game in the middle of August in South Florida if you don't live in that environment. There's just no way.
And also, they're in their comfort zone where these guys are. They're playing at home. I would like to see California teams go over to St. John Bosco and play over there and play in that environment. So let's see how you do over there. That's the kind of stuff I would really like to see more as this kickoff continues, which, by the way, I didn't realize it. It's in its 15th year. This is really impressive that they've stuck with it. But I would like to see in future considerations, maybe you get teams going out to California, going out to Arizona, going out to Utah. That would be fun to see.
Yeah, I just want to see more of a rotating schedule. I am not arguing to take it out, and I'm not arguing to stop the matchups. I love this shit. Like, I'm not that at all, and I love to see these different matchups against different teams in different states, whatever. And some I know about, some I don't. Some I learn about by watching it, and I become a little more educated on the state and maybe that brand of football or whatever. But I would like to see a little more of a rotating schedule, going to different regions and having. I would like to see something. I know everybody wants to go to Florida, but shit. Everybody wants to go to Florida March through,
Yes.
October through March, not not August and July, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I would like to see a little more with it. But this is also why I'm excited about the college football playoff, because come the second week of December, you're going to see frickin' Auburn have to come play Penn State in the middle of Pennsylvania or at Wisconsin or something like that, based on playoff matchups.
Or you got Alabama having to travel to Notre Dame or something like that. Yeah.
And I can't tell you how excited I am about that, because where are all the bowl games in January?
They're all in the South.
They're all in the South or West, right? Which is, in the West that's a really great time to be out West, right? Because the weather is really great that time of year, right? Come January, right? Late December, January. But, Florida's, mild in January, but, they're all in the South and you still get the humidity, right? On some of those January days. Whereas, like, I'm going to look forward to the middle of December and watching Auburn trying to find enough layers of clothing to put on when they're running out the tunnel at Happy Valley in the middle of a damn mountain.
Oh my God!
And they got to go concentrate and go play football. Good luck with that. Let me know how it works out in the first half.
Oh man, I still remember when I was coaching down at Methodist University. We got snow in North Carolina. Very rare it happens, but it does happen. And I had kids like freaking out a little bit because they were like, "It's the first time I've ever seen snow. What do you do, coach?" And it was, in a way, actually, it was kind of cool because once they got over that initial shock, they actually started making snowballs and having snowball fights, which I was pretty cool. But it was like watching our athletes, especially down in Florida, who were like really coordinated and all that, have no idea what to do with snow and ice and didn't know how to walk. It was it was a little comical at first. I'm not gonna lie. I chuckled at that one pretty good.
Yeah. So, anyway, not proposing at all, and I'm not hating on the matchups. I'm not. Now, I would say this, and I was being facetious during the rankings because this shit happens every year. Like, you mean to tell me there's one Midwest team in the top 25?
Yeah.
Pennsylvania St. Joe's Prep is the only one in the top 25.
Yeah.
And they're not even Midwest. It's East Coast in Pennsylvania. But, like, there are no Ohio, Illinois, St. Louis, Michigan. There are no top 25 teams in the country playing great football in the middle of America.
And what you're saying also is there's
man.
There's only one top 25 team in Philly. You mean to tell me Emotep Charter isn't on that same, or Roman Catholic isn't on that same level as St. Joe's Prep? Come on.
It's just it's predictable because I feel like I see it every year, and I always notice that the ESPN matchups come out, and then the top 25 matchups come out, or the ESPN matchups for the Kickoff Classic come out, and then the top 25 is released, and it just so happens that all the teams are on the list. Outside the one Tennessee team, I guess wasn't on there, but like it's comical to me because there's again we talked about it on the show before. SEC has ruled the roost in college football, right? And in high school ratings, so high school recruiting. So, like, I'm not here to poo-poo that and discriminate against it, but just don't try to convince me. Don't piss on me and tell me it's raining, and try to convince me that there are no teams in the Midwestern middle of America who could compete with all these other teams in the top 25. Like, come on, man. Like, just don't do that. Like, it's insulting. And, it's funny, but it's also insulting, and it's also tiring because it happens year after year. And then, you'll watch it, and as the season goes on, like, it becomes clear that obviously there are teams in Pennsylvania, there are teams in, New York, and, parts of New York. There are, Jersey has some representation, but, then the DMV area, right? We talk, Jerry and I have talked ad nauseum about the 757 in Virginia Beach area, and like we think it's pretty close to on par with Florida, like, and they don't have any teams in the top 25. Come on, man, like, come on, Newport News, Hopewell, like, come on, man, like I mean, it's predictable, it's comical, but it's also insulting.
Of all things, I would like to see those schools on there. Like, I don't think there's enough representation here. Now, granted, they can only have 6 games. I get it, but they can't put St. Francis on here, one of the best teams in the DMV. They can't get them on somehow. I mean, I think what ESPN really needs to start doing.
You tell me Calvert Hall and Baltimore's not one of the top 25 teams?
Oh, it is.
In the country.
It is. It's just not on TV. That's the problem.
Here's a way to solve this, though. Every state passed legislation for spring football.
Yeah.
Have spring football, and at the end of your spring football schedule, it should be a showcase in April, May to play games against other teams. In states just like we do in August on ESPN for those 6-8 games. Mm-hmm. Do it in April, May, and have teams from around the country play each other in a one game in the spring practice, and then make your top 25 in late July and August and say who the top 25 teams are in the country.
Yeah.
Rather than just arbitrarily, 5 teams from Florida, 6 teams from California, 3 teams from Georgia. Like, come on, man. Like,
IMGA number 2.
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
just it's shallow.
Yeah.
Like, it's shallow. You're writing in, you're writing in, in concrete and early instead of taking time to figure out who the best teams are and all that. So I get frustrated with it, but I also laugh at it because it's predictable and I know the pattern. And if you're paying attention, then it's out there. Now, if you're one of those Southern people, you'll just be like, "Oh, you guys aren't good enough," and okay, you want to buy that shit, you buy it. I got some swampland to sell you here in Pennsylvania. But you're naive if you don't think that there are teams in the middle of America who could compete against anybody in the country, whether that be out west or down south or wherever the case may be. So anyway, I'm making that point. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm gonna finish with. Wasn't gonna be a long episode today. Just wanted to come and say, enjoy the season. Good luck, you coaches out there getting started. Be safe. Be careful. Be smart. Be smart with your kids. Be smart with your program. Be smart with how you do things. Right? Every year, I feel like I watch ESPN or read something and some kid died on the field and somebody did something, they're over-conditioned or tackling drills. Just be smart, man. Be better. Right? And we can't always prevent everything that's going to happen. Football's a dangerous sport. We know that. We've talked about it on this show. But, be smart. Be smart. Put your kids in a position to be successful. Put them in a position to be safe. And, this is the greatest game in the world, man. Let's not put ourselves in a position to have people take it away. Or, start governing us on what we can and what we can't do. I think as coaches, we're smart enough, we care enough about our kids to do things right, and I know most of us are. So that's it, man. Just enjoy the season, enjoy the time. I always love the start, man. The start is great because everybody's got expectations. Everybody's got a promise in their head of what they want and how they want it to go. And for all you out there, I hope it comes true. I hope you get what you want. I hope your goals, your aspirations, your dreams, kind of season, winning your conference, winning seasons, whatever, right? Playoffs, state championships, regional championships, districts, right? Whatever that case may be, whatever you want, I want it for you because it's a time of promise. And you're as healthy as you're ever going to be right now. So enjoy that part of having all your kids and everybody ready to go and enjoy the ride, man. That's what I got for you. That's the opening ceremony of the 2020. That's the opening episode of the 2024 season. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. Have fun. As we all know, it'll be over before we know it. We blink, it's August, and then you blink again, it's November. So enjoy it. Have a good time. We'll see you guys soon on the next edition, on the next episode of Friday Night Addiction.